Hello, everybody.
This is cool.
Yes, and just give it like 5 to 10 minutes, and then they'll really start coming in. Hello, Miss McClung. We were just hanging out. Miss Melissa, we were just hanging out. Nice to see you guys. Got Mr. Arsamont, Maya consultant on. Nice to see you, sir. Guys, if you are fully clothed and are not in the bathroom, please turn your camera on. If you're driving, maybe not, but if you have the ability to turn your camera on, we'd love to see your beautiful faces. That's why we do these Zoom meetings. And all right, we got people still pouring in. Grab a pen and paper. This is, not just going to be some 50,000 view up stuff. There we go. Mr. Arsamont's always prepped and ready. He's got the journal ready to go. And it's great to see some familiar faces. Great to see some new people in here too. Can you guys do me a favor? Let me know where you're at. Let me know where you're at. I am in Tampa, Florida. Drop in the chat. We're going to make you guys work those fingers today. Oh, all right. Yeah, look at that. First three. Florida, baby. So got some Texans. Awesome. Let us know, guys. Okay. Mr. Metzger is somewhere in that conference room, probably.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
What's the weather like by you right now?
It is 72 degrees.
Oh, God.
It was right like 64 this morning, 64. Which, yeah, hence the hoodie. How about you?
It was 27 this morning.
Oof. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Not my jam. Can't do it.
That's why I can't get you to come to Virginia in the winter. I get it.
Yeah, no, not happening. Mr. Metzger, how we doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm good. Saw you got some good jiu-jitsu training in this week, huh?
Yes, I did. It was so great to be back on the mat after vacations and stomach bugs and everything else.
Glad you are feeling better. Awesome. I think we got Mr. Toulay. People will just keep pouring in again, guys. Hello. If you have the ability to turn your camera on, please do. Makes it much more fun for all of us. Mr. Metzger, you got your slides ready, right, sir?
I do. It's called grab your pen and paper, everybody, because it's going to be, my seminar is make your own slides today.
There you go. Ah. I always give him a hard time about it. He doesn't need slides. I will admit he doesn't need slides.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So, all right. I got some people messaging me for the link. Always, right? Cool. So let me go ahead and I'm going to change the view here for a second. And maybe in and there we go. All right. Guys, give me one word in the chat. How are you feeling today? Just one word, not 2 words, not 3 words. How are you feeling today? Ms. McClellan says, great, awesome, excited, tired. I feel that. Blessed, meh. Well, hopefully we can turn that meh to like a yes, an excitement. Hungry, Miss Ramos. Focused, awesome. I love seeing them come in. Mr. Toulay is getting his steps in today, which I think is awesome. You got to tell me what you're walking on a treadmill right now, right? You got a walking desk. Talk to me about that. I got to hear about that.
Yeah, so I have an office, and in my office I don't have a chair. I always have a walking treadmill. So anytime I'm on a Zoom call and things like that, I read this book called Micro Habits, and it's like the little things you do, and so this gets me my step in and keep me from just staying in shape because I can't do martial arts as much as I used to.
I love it.
Well, hey, this is the first lesson for everybody. I did not read any books, but I drink a cup of coffee, throw my feet up on the desk, and I do my Zoom. So Both will work. You just got to figure out what works best for you. Just like what we're going to go over today to make sure you all have a successful 2024. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers,
Absolutely.
cheers. Yeah.
All right. I love it. Let's get this party started, guys. We got an agenda that we are sticking to. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. We're going to do some quick introductions, and then everybody's going to get a little bit of time today, and we are going to open it up to a Q&A. Let me just get my chat set, make sure I can get all the participants in. So, I reached out to Mr. Reinstein, Mr. Toulet, Mr. Mike Metzger a few weeks ago, just with this idea of, I typically year after year, and Stephen and I have done it together, have done like a kind of like a marketing specific blueprint where we're talking about, what to expect in 2024, and kind of really just wanted to take that to the next level and asked these brilliant minds if they would hop on to discuss, what they're really foreseeing in going into 2024. And Mr. Metzger has done this year after year, I want to say like pretty much since COVID, and has been pretty accurate in regards to where he's seeing the industry. So I'm excited to hear about what he has to say. But we're going to just do some really quick intros because a lot of you are coming from, you might have came from the Grow Pro list or the Maya list or the Market Muscles list or the My Studio list. So we want to make sure everybody knows who everybody is. And then I'm going to kick it off with where I see marketing going in 2024. And then we're going to pass it around. As you guys have questions, please do me a favor, drop them in the chat. I'm going to keep a list of those questions. If it makes sense for the speaker to kind of touch on it, then we'll do that. But if we don't get to it at the end, we'll be sure that we dive into it. Okay. So my name is Cris Rodriguez. I've been a lifelong martial artist. I own Gracie Pack MMA. It's a BJJ and MMA academy in Tampa, Florida for the last 11 years. But I've really shifted my focus into Grow Pro Agency. We're a digital marketing agency currently working with over 400 martial arts schools, helping them with all things digital marketing. I'm also blessed to be on the amazing Maya team, which we're going to hear from our commander, Mike Metzger, in a little bit. And I am obsessed with all things marketing and AI. So just a super quick intro. That is my contact information. If you guys have any follow-up questions after today, feel free to reach out. Chris at Grow Pro Agency, no H in Chris. Steven, I'm going to throw it over to you. You want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name is Steven Reinstein. I am the CEO and founder of Market Muscles. We help a little over 800 martial arts schools around the US, Canada, Europe, etc. With their websites. I am as well a lifelong martial artist. Started training when I was 2.5 years old in karate. Still do it to the day. Love traveling over to Okinawa, typically a couple times a year for my training. Yeah, and when I grow up, I want to be like Chris, Mike, and Tu. So I'm excited to be on this webinar with them.
I mean, you love training so much, you built a dojo in the Market Muscles headquarters, right?
That's true. That is true.
I am very jealous. And Metzger has a dojo right underneath him. So, that's awesome that you can go right onto the mat after a, business meeting. Super cool. All right, Mr. Toulet, let's throw it over to you, sir. Quick intro.
Hey, Chris, first off, thanks so much for inviting us and organizing the seminar. I'm excited, obviously, to be able to speak on a panel speaker. This is accomplished. This is wonderful. My name is Toulet. I'm a 4th degree black belt in the World Taekwondo. We have a chain of 5 schools called Encourage Martial Arts. And then we started My Studio to run our martial arts school for a better way for our customers to buy and to sell our products. And that's what My Studio is. That's how we started.
I love it.
Excited to be on here. Excited to have everybody here as well. Thank you for having me.
How many steps you think you're going to get in?
Well, typically I'm walking at 1.5 miles per hour. So this is a 2-hour. I'm going to get my 10,000 steps in pretty quick here. Yeah.
I'm so jealous. So jealous. So cool. All right. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mike Metzger. Quick intro, sir.
Well, that's my intro. Thank you so much. No, thank you. Look, when Chris asked me to be on here with Stephen and Tu and herself, of course, I love it. I love giving back. So I started martial arts back in 1983. I opened my school in 1993. So we're 31 going on 31 years here. We own 9 schools. Our 9th school is opening up next month. So 9 schools in Orlando. We have 100 and I'll tell you exactly. Wow, was that just updated? 140 locations of CMA affiliates around the country and Canada. I also lead the Martial Arts Industry Association to help schools all around the world just professionalize their business. Love doing that. Cris knows how much the customer in this industry comes before even any financial gain, because I'm so passionate about the industry that gave me everything that I have today. And yes, the email is at AOL. That just shows my loyalty. And also the fact that I don't like big change. So I sympathize with school owners when we need to make some changes to professionalize. We try to make it as easy as possible, hence the AOL. So there you go. Thank you for having me on, Cris. Thanks for putting this together.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, guys, we are right on schedule. Basically, we are here to share a lot of the data that we have with working with literally thousands. If you pulled all of our, clients together, there are thousands of martial arts schools that our companies are working with. And I always say math is the path. And we're going to be sharing, what we believe 2024 is going to be looking like and where you should really shift your focus going into the new year. Because, even in our Maya calls, we're hearing some feedback that people are, maybe holding their wallet a little bit tighter. So we want to give you some strategies that you can implement to make sure that 2024 is a huge success. I'm going to kick it off. Then we're going to go to Steven and then Mr. Metz. And then at the end, we will do a Q&A. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. Guys, give me, I usually say a 1, but because there's 4 of us, give me a 4 in the chat if you're ready to get this party started. Let's see them come in. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to be touching on 4 different kind of topics in terms of digital marketing trends for 2024. Okay. And the first one that we have to talk about, because whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you're confused by it, it is here. This is not some fleeting trend. It is fundamentally revolutionizing the marketing industry, and it is going to also revolutionize the way that we do business in our martial arts schools. And going into 2024, you have to understand that there will be an ever-present role of AI moving forward, whether you like it or not, okay? And what I am challenging you to think about is how can you adopt a habit of using AI to help you buy back your time on a daily basis. When I sit down here at my desk, the first tab I open is my Google Calendar because that's my boss. The second tab I open is ChatGPT, and it is there for me as a daily assistant to help me buy back my time. You guys literally have this at your fingertips. It's free. The premium version is only $20 a month, which it's kind of insane that that's all that they're charging. And when I walk through my office and I see team members with ChatGPT open or Midjourney or Descript, like I stop and give them a high five, because while I'm already seeing these kind of forms of AI take jobs in the agency world, they are creating more jobs. And as a martial arts school owner or team member, there are really 3 areas that I would make sure that you are using specific to ChatGPT on a daily basis. And number 1 is just content creation. And I think the mistake that a lot of schools are doing is that they're going in, they're like, oh, this is so cool. I don't, really even have to think when I'm making social media posts. And then they don't edit what is being spit out, because ChatGPT really doesn't talk like any other human being that I know. So what you want to use it as is as an assistant. It's not there to be the author. You've got to go in and you've got to edit it, okay? The other huge area that I'm seeing a lot of school owners start to lean into, I saw this especially with Black Friday, is utilizing this for communication and emails. We know that we're supposed to be consistently following up. We know that we should have nurture sequences in place. The reason why you're not doing it is because it's time consuming, right? I'm sure the thought of, man, I want to open up my martial arts school so I can write a 21-day prospecting follow-up email and text message. Like, that thought never came in through our head when we first opened our school, okay? And one of my favorite ways to use it is for ideation. You know, there are specific events that we host in our school, whether they're parent night out events or challenges. And you have to be able to disguise the marketing. And one of the best ways to do that is to use ChatGPT to help you come up with different names for basically the same thing. And these are 3 ways that I want to challenge you going into 2024 to utilize this, because I get very frustrated when I hear business owners say, I don't have enough time. Look, we all only get 24 hours in a day. You got to learn how to leverage it. And this understanding that this is an ever-present role, it's not going anywhere. And I want you to learn how to use it, okay? The second way to use AI for a competitive advantage is with conversational marketing and AI-driven interactions. We live in an instant gratification society. Customers will not patiently wait for responses. And if you think of just all the different ways they can reach us, whether it's email, text message, phone call, Facebook message, right? The modern consumer seeks that immediate gratification and instant solution. And this is where we're already seeing it in 2023. It's improving with the more data that it gets, but AI-powered chatbots that are answering in real time. And this is huge for when your school is closed. I mean, how often do you get opt-ins in the middle of the night, right? I wake up in the morning and I go to look at my email and I see an opt-in. I get an email from my Market Muscle site. I see an opt-in from my Facebook ad from GrowPro. And these are happening in the middle of the night. And what your AI-powered chatbots can do is literally book appointments while you sleep, right? I know when I first opened Gracie Pack, my cell phone, my personal cell phone, was the business cell phone. And that thing went everywhere with me. Even if I was out on a date Saturday night, if it lit up, I would stop what I was doing and I would respond to that prospect. I don't want anybody to have that feeling, and you won't have to anymore. So when your team is busy during prime time, right, at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., if leads are coming in, it could be very difficult to follow up with them because you're trying to service the customers in front of you. The school gets busy. And AI-powered chatbots, we're going to see them continue to get smarter and smarter. And because we can train them on our systems, they can actually book appointments for you. And because of this, I believe we're going to see an increase in Facebook Messenger ads. Facebook Messenger ads, we typically don't like running them for our clients because it requires our clients to actually respond to the Facebook messages. And if you're not instantly responding to them, that lead is going to go cold. So now with AI-powered chatbots getting smarter going into 2024, I think we're going to be able to lean in a lot more on Facebook Messenger ads because they're very cost effective. It's very cheap to get somebody to start that conversation. The problem is us as the business owner making sure we're jumping in immediately, okay? The third thing I wanted to touch on, ways to use AI for a competitive advantage, is with asset creation. We are seeing platforms like DALL-E 3, which you can access through ChatGPT, Midjourney, which is built on the Discord channel, and now Imagine Meta. So Meta, Facebook, they have this imagine.meta.com, which allows you to create these AI images. My prediction going into 2024 is that they're going to work this into the Meta Business Suite. So when you go to post on your Facebook page or you go to create an ad, you'll actually be able to create the AI image without using a third-party tool, okay? We are seeing AI ads absolutely crush it right now, and it's just because it's thumb stopping because people aren't used to seeing AI ads. Like everything, marketers ruin everything. So it's not going to always be as effective or impactful. But I mean, this Santa with the black belt on, Metz, it kind of looks like you have that red gi, right? You don't have the beard, definitely, but you have the red gi. You got a picture of yourself in that. This is an actual image that we are using in the ads that we are running for our clients, okay? And there is a definite learning curve with how to use DALL-E 3 or Mid-Journey, but it's going to continue to get easier and easier. And for those of you that aren't maybe potentially great at, batching photos, this is a really great opportunity for you as well, okay? The second trend, we're just going to, and I was looking back on last year's and the year before, and every time I've been bringing up video marketing, and I think that's always going to be the case, having to touch on video marketing. Short form content isn't going anywhere because of TikTok. It's going to continue to win, but people are going to expect better quality short form content. And you are going to see an explosion of AI video. I want to say about a month and a half ago, I put a video out on my personal timeline that it looked like me, it sounded like me, it had hand gestures like I used. I did not film the video at all, and it blew people's minds. There's going to be a lot of deep fakes potentially happening, but I do believe it's going to get to a place where you're not going to be able to tell the difference if that was an actual video that somebody filmed or it was AI generated. And how does this affect you guys? Well, there are certain videos that you should be leveraging in the customer journey, in the prospecting journey, that you could now utilize AI, which would save a lot of time for you. Okay. The platform, because I get asked this often, the platform that I use is called Hey Gen. It's about $150 a month. You basically send a 2-minute video of yourself talking, and after every sentence, you close your mouth. And then you say another word, and you close your mouth. And you say another, and then you close your mouth. And this is how they train the AI. And it's a super, super cool platform that is just continuing to get better and better. So for those of you that absolutely hate shooting videos, I think as we get deeper into 2024, this is going to become a viable option for you. TikTok is becoming more of a search engine for Generation Z, which, the kind of the oldest of Generation Z are starting to have kids. And we have tested TikTok ads, and because they were not using zip code targeting, they weren't super effective. And what TikTok has now been doing is introducing very slowly zip code targeting. Before, they're using DMAs, designated marketing areas. They only have a few thousand zip codes that you can target, and there are a lot more zip codes in the United States than that. But I believe they're just going to continue. And we have a TikTok rep that we meet with, and they are, saying, yes, this is something they're going to continue to roll out. We have found that the ad platform is really great for community events, right? So one of the big strategies that Maya teaches is hosting community events, things like stranger danger and goal setting through board breaking. And we have found that is the best type of offer to run on TikTok versus like selling a paid trial or a free introductory lesson. Okay. So video marketing, it should be top of mind. I feel like a lot of schools are not leaning into this. One, because of just not being super comfortable. Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Do you feel comfortable? If I came right up to you right now and I said, let's film a video and stuck a camera in your face, yes or no, would you feel comfortable? Let me know. All right. See, we got some no's, we got some yeses. All right. And as AI just continues to get smarter, there's going to be even more tools out there that allow you to lean on that technology. Okay. Third thing I want to touch on, because I think this is good news for legitimate business owners, is that starting in February of 2024, Gmail is going to be requiring email authentication. And what this means for legitimate businesses is that our emails are going to land better, right? It could be super frustrating when we're trying to send emails to people that actually have requested more information and our emails end up in their spam box. I mean, think about how often do you actually check your spam box? Probably not very often. They are also committing to cracking down and making sure that emails that land inside of Gmail have easy unsubscribes. I know that when I go to click on an unsubscribe and it takes me to a website and I have to fill out a form and like physically type in the reason why I'm unsubscribing, I get super frustrated. Okay. So they are really cracking down on email marketing in general. And I think this is a good thing. However, what I will say, if you have a very large list, okay, if you have a very large list, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 contacts. Maybe you've been in business for a while. Maybe, you have very large ad spends to where you are, consistently building that list. I would suggest segmenting your sends to the newest subscribers moving forward next year. People that opted in 10 years ago, they're not as interested as they were 10 years ago. Okay. Last point before I hand it over to Steven is, I absolutely love digital, but I want to talk beyond digital here. And I have a feeling Mr. Metzger is really going to dive deep into this, but embracing offline personalization in your customer experiences. I went to Lululemon. Anybody, let me know in the chat. Have you ever bought something either for yourself or for somebody else from Lululemon? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I see some yeses. I see some, no, not the Lulu. No. Okay. So I went there last weekend at International Mall because it's my wife's absolute favorite workout apparel. And I tried to look in her drawers before I left to see like what size she was, because when I went in there, I instantly got overwhelmed at all of the different options. Like, how many freaking types of sports bras can you have? How many types of leggings can you have? So I was standing and I was looking at the leggings wall, and there's like 20 different types, all these different colors. And I'm looking at, and the lady could see this like overwhelming look on my face. And she's like, you look a little concerned. Can I help you out? And I was like, I really wish I would have dug deeper in my wife's drawers to see what size she is. And she goes, well, if your wife is a registered Lululemon, we track all of her previous purchases and can let you know what size she is. And I just thought that was freaking awesome, that I would just have to give her phone number, which was attached to her account, and they were able to say, okay, she's this size in these pants, she's this size in these tops. Super cool, right? And that is what I'm talking about in terms of personalization and making that customer experience much better. Now I know like what I bought, this is going to fit her and she's not going to have to go back and return it. So understanding your client's preferences, and one of the easiest ways to do this is just by being friends with them on social media, because you get to see what they like with what they are posting. And this is not some, new trick, but handwritten cards. But I want you to take it a step further in 2024 and being super specific. I think sometimes, it's like, all right, every month we're going to write these good job cards or these you are awesome cards. And it could be very general. I want you to get more specific and also think about smart gifting. So I'm a huge fan of giving gifts. And when you know what your clients, your students, their families' preferences are, you're friends with them on social, you're seeing where they're going out to eat, you can really get smart with your gifting and personalize it to them. This level of personalization is going to increase customer loyalty, which is what we need in a recession. It's going to increase those renewals and upgrades and the likelihood of repeat purchases. And then it, will ultimately help with a positive word of mouth recommendations. Okay. So 4 things, marketing trends going into 2024. We talked about 3 different ways to use AI for a competitive advantage. I want you to make it a habit that ChatGPT, anytime you're on your computer, that tab is open and leveraging it. Okay. We're going to see even more in terms of AI images in the marketplace and AI leveraged videos. Okay. Make sure that any big email sends that you are going to start doing are from recent subscribers. And let's also think about how can we make this more a personalized customer experience so they don't just feel like another number. All right. So I see we got some questions in there. Is there a service where we can create a student profile and automate the gifting? Stephen, you know, I know you've used like some gifting platforms. I'm not familiar if there is a, like, you create a student profile. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, they're typically super expensive though, if you go through that, because what they do is they charge you for like housing the actual gifts themselves. They'll typically make you buy like, I don't know, 100 or 150 of a certain item. They keep it at their warehouse and then they'll send it out for you, but it ends up being super expensive to do that. So I don't really recommend those types of services, to be quite honest. But I'm sure as two dives into kind of the CRM side, there's ways to leverage things like automations to make something like this happen. So if you, are looking to set up some sort of automation that automatically sends, on someone's birthday or something like that, I'm sure that you can come up with some crafty ways to do that within your CRM. So yeah, just some ideas there, but yeah, there's a lot of different services out there to help with this.
Yeah, it depends how much time you want to put into it. We definitely use a service that allows our team to just pick from a list, put in the address, put in a quick note, and it sends, right? To Steven's point, that is going to cost a little more. You have to just do cost time analysis. How much time do you want to spend actually physically buying that product from Amazon or going to a store? Or do you want to just like have a system to send it out, kind of like DoorDash, right? Do I want to go to the restaurant to pick up my food, or will they deliver it for me with a 20% upcharge on the price and at the tip? But the services are available out there.
Awesome. All right. Miss Heidi, is that Miss Heidi Chapman? If it is Miss Heidi Chapman, I can make sure that one of our future Maya master classes, I do a master class on using Chat GPT. Happy to help, man. All right, Stephen, passing the baton over to you.
Sweet. All right. So first off, Lululemon. So a little tip for you guys, if you guys like saving money, let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. So if you guys don't know, they have something called the Sweat Collective. Everyone can see my screen, right? Thumbs up, we're good. Cool. All right, the Sweat Collective. Basically, this is a program that they offer. If you are a studio or gym owner or manager or a fitness instructor, you can get 25% off everything that you buy from Lululemon. It's as simple as just applying, becoming a member of the Sweat Collective, and you can save money. So makes it super nice.
Do not tell my wife this, Steve. Do not.
And it's totally free to be part of it. You just have to apply and prove that you own a gym or martial arts school in this case. So there you go. There's my presentation. Actually, I'm done. All right. Anyways, let me move on. So 2024, guys, typically I'm known as like the website guy, right? I've been building websites since I was 13 years old. It's kind of my bread and butter here, but it's funny. I was also looking back at some of the previous presentations we've done in the past years, Chris, and kind of looking at the things that I've kind of spoke on. And it's interesting with websites, things don't really change that much, right? A lot of the like base principles that go into a really successful website are continuing to be true, So I didn't want to present on the same topics again. What I really wanted to focus is on web traffic, okay? Because you can have the best website in the world that converts like crazy, but if nobody's showing up to your website, then you have nothing to convert, right? So we're going to focus on web traffic, specifically with SEO, because things are changing. Things change very rapidly in the SEO. And for those that don't know, SEO means search engine optimization. So we're talking about Google searches here. But the algorithms are always changing super quick. And we want to stay on top of that, right? Looking into 2024. So we're going to go over 4 things here. We're going to talk about Google's EEAT, or the EAT algorithm. This is kind of the algorithm that they're pushing here right now. We're going to talk about core website vitals, the things that you should be looking at when it comes to your website to ensure that you are in Google's good graces. We're going to be talking about voice searching, which is becoming incredibly popular leading into 2024. And then we're going to tackle some technical SEO pieces as well. And all of this is being talked about because at the end of the day, we want to rank super high so we can get as many people to our website as possible and convert them into leads. So let's break down Google's EAT algorithm. So The first E stands for experience. Okay. So Google wants to know that you as a business owner have experience in whatever you're talking about on your website. Okay. And when it comes to leveraging things like AI, it's great. It's super helpful, but it allows people that have no idea about a certain subject be able to create content very quickly on that subject because they're leveraging the knowledge that's built into these AI platforms, right? So Google wants to see proof that your business has firsthand experience with whatever you're talking about in your guys' instance, being martial arts instructors, schools, changing lives, that sort of thing. So how do we do that? I love success stories. Okay. These are super unique to your school. No one has the same exact success story as your school. And a lot of times when we're looking at websites, people are always looking to look at ways to make their website unique compared to their competitors, right? And looking at our success stories, and I'm talking about your students, where they came from, where they're at now, whether that's, confidence, whether that's on the fitness level, whatever it might be, really honing in on those success stories and publishing them on your website within the blog area is a great place to put it, is something that is super powerful. Again, unique stories and experiencing in the blog format. So we get this a lot. We tell our clients to post on their blog and they go, well, what do I post about? Well, this is a super easy thing to put together. You can record video and you can embed that directly into your blog post. So if you want to do an interview with the parents or the student themselves, that's super powerful. And then of course, the written aspect of it as well. So that's experience. Moving on, expertise. Okay, so they want to know that you are an expert in your field. I know that we all have our accolades, we all have our specific things that make us incredible instructors and business owners, and that should be on your website. Okay, so having an about page with your staff members and bios is extremely important. That is something that you want to make sure is on your website. Again, this is something that's going to make you stand out from your competitors because nobody has your specific credentials, nobody has your specific staff members, and it really makes you stand out. On your blog, on your specific blog post, including your expertise credentials at the bottom of each blog post is really important as well. Okay, so this is stuff that the Google algorithm is looking at. So I really suggest that you have kind of like a nice 2 to 3 sentence blurb that talks about who you are, how long you've been doing what you've been doing, that sort of thing, and just include that at the bottom of each blog post that you create. And then providing links to social media as well. So Google will look at social media links and actually see that as a social signal and even look at your social profiles and see how many friends you have, how much interaction you're getting on your social media profiles, on your specific pages. So include that at the bottom of your blog post to build up your expertise as well. Next, we've got authoritativeness. Okay, so you as a business need to look like an authority. Again, supporting that you are experienced, that you have the expertise, and people look at you for this sort of information. Okay, so you need to be updating the content on your website on a regular basis. And again, the best place to do that is on your blog. All right, you need to cover a large range of topics. So you need to show that you have a great understanding of everything when it comes to martial arts, everything from the fitness side to the confidence building to the, what people are going to be experiencing. Just a super large range of topics should be covered within your blog. And then does your website metrics reflect properly for things like click-through rate and time on page? Okay, so Google can actually see your users and how much time they're spending on your website. The more time they're on your website, the more likely you have engaging content that's making them want to stay on there. So that's super important as well. And then backlinks. So backlinks is essentially other authorities that are linking to your website that's essentially giving you a stamp of approval. Okay, so generating backlinks is actually a super difficult thing to do. So there's a lot of weight that's put on that when it comes to Google looking at your website. But places that you can get backlinks from are news agencies. So if you're being featured in an article for whatever it might be, if you are talking with somebody from the news station, if you can request to have your website linked within the article, that's super powerful. Any sort of local business group. So if you belong to any sort of chamber of commerce or anything like that, having your website listed on their website with a link to it is super helpful. And then any other businesses that you potentially partner with, right? That would be great to have them linked to your website from their website. Okay, so generating as many backlinks as possible is going to build your authoritativeness as well. And then lastly, your trustworthiness. So basically what they take is the EEA and that equals your trustworthiness. Okay, so this is an overall look at your experience, expertise, and then your authority as a business. Okay, so it's important to ensure that you focus on all three of these items. So that way your trustworthiness is built up as well. All right, moving on to your core website vitals. So we're going to get a little nerdy here. So we're going to talk about something called largest contentful paint, your first input delay, and then your cumulative layout shift. And all of this essentially equals to how fast does your website load. Okay, and we've talked about this a lot before, but in 2024, this is super, super important. So let's go over a couple tips on how to make your website load super fast. So optimizing images. So any of you guys that upload images on your website, whether it's on a program page, your home page, your blog page, you need to make sure those images are set to be JPEGs, okay? They can't be PNGs. You don't want them to be GIFs. These are all super large file formats that you don't want to have on your website. So you want to convert those over to JPEGs. If you just do a quick Google search, you know, PNG to JPEG converter, something like that, you'll be able to do it through those websites. And then in addition, you want to make sure that the images aren't too big, right? So if you're taking a picture on your phone and then transferring it to your computer, more than likely our phones are taking pictures that are you know, quite big, and we don't want to upload those directly to our website because that's going to increase the load time. So you want to make sure that you scale those down. Again, you can do a quick Google search on a website that will scale those images down for you. And then you want to compress the images. So running them through a website like tinyjpg.com will essentially take your JPEG and it will look through all of the code that makes up that JPEG. It compresses it together. It won't lower the quality of the image. It'll just kind of compress it in a way where the file format is a lot smaller, allowing those images to load a lot quicker.
Hey, Steven, real quick, can you touch on the importance of making sure that the images we are using on our website are not trademarked? I got a lovely little letter in the mail a couple of weeks ago with an $800 fee because we used an image we weren't supposed to in one of our blogs. So can you just touch on that? Because I think it's important, like we're talking about, you want to optimize the images, but make sure you are allowed to.
Yeah, so there are stock photo websites out there like Shutterstock that have these images that you can purchase, right? And a lot of times what will happen is, you know, a company will purchase this image, they'll put it on their website, but because it's on their website, it now gets indexed into Google image search, right? So you as a business owner might go onto Google image search and say, hey, I'm looking for, I don't know, a picture of a kid throwing a punch. And you're just going to save that image from Google and then use it on your website. Well, the licensing details of that image says you actually have to purchase it from the source like Shutterstock. Even though you're able to download it from the website, they're able to track that back because within JPEG images, they're actually able to like embed little code to see where these images are being used. And if you don't have a license for that image, they hit you with a large fee. Okay, so if you are using any sort of stock photos that you're finding from online, make sure that you are purchasing those with the proper licensing. All of the images that we use on our clients' websites, the Market Muscles websites, are properly licensed. So that way we don't run into issues like this. So if you have a website through us, not something you have to worry about unless you're doing your own blog posting and you're going out onto Google search and finding images and using it. But hey, if you use AI and you create images through that, then you don't have to worry about it. So that's pretty cool, right?
Also know you can negotiate with these companies. So I was able to negotiate the $800 and get a few $100 off. So always ask.
Cool. Moving on. All right. So still within the core website vitals, video on websites. So we talk about video a lot. Video is incredible for telling a story, right? If a picture says 1,000 words, then what does a video say? I really encourage you all to use video on your website, but it's important that you compress that video through a service like Free Convert Video Compressor. If you have a super large video on your website, it takes a long time for it to load, which is not a good thing. And the other thing is to not auto load videos on mobile devices, okay? When we look at traffic statistics for our clients' websites, typically 70 to 80% of their traffic is coming from mobile devices. And a lot of times people on mobile devices are not actively connected to a Wi-Fi network. Okay, so if you're forcing them to load a video or to download or load very large images, your website's going to load very slowly. Okay, so don't auto load videos on mobile devices. This is more of a technical thing. Again, within our websites, we do this automatically, but if you're building your own website or using another company, just make sure if you go to your website on a mobile device that your videos are not showing automatically. And then lastly, fast website hosting. So there is a lot that goes into website hosting. These are typically, actual servers that are sitting in some sort of warehouse that are powered by, specific hardware. And it's important that the hardware that's powering your website hosting is up to date, that it's, really powerful and it's doing what it needs to do. So if you're using super cheap host, typically like GoDaddy hosting or something like HostGator, what they end up doing is they have decent hardware, but they'll stuff as many websites as possible onto these servers, which results in slow loading websites. So those kind of cheaper services do have those downsides with it. So you just want to make sure that the server that you're using is, has great hardware and it's just not being overstuffed with a ton of websites. And the other thing is that the server location is as close as possible to your city. So typically these web hosting companies have data centers all around the United States. And when you sign up for hosting, they don't really tell you where your server is going to be placed, but the amount of time that it takes for somebody to connect to a website and then that data to be sent back to them is contingent on where that server is actually physically located, right? So if you're located in California and you have the data center that's in LA, or if it's in San Francisco, your website's going to load much faster for those people within California than if your school's in New York and your website is hosted in California, you're going to have a slower load time for that alone. So that is really important as well. All right, moving on to voice search. So I think this is one of the most exciting things looking into 2024. And this is just based off of people's habits changing, okay? So people are utilizing voice search to make their searches on their phone more and more. Do me a favor, type a 1 in chat if you utilize things like Siri to look things up for you. See how many of you guys are using voice chat in general. My 3-year-old knows how to use Alexa. Yeah, it's becoming more and more popular. Yeah, so people are actually running their searches directly through their phone without typing anymore. And because of that, people are searching different when they're saying it than when they're typing it. Okay, so it's important to remember those things when we're looking at the keywords that we're utilizing within our website. So typical keywords that we'll see a lot of traffic come from is like martial arts near me, karate near me. But when we're looking at voice searching in general, we're looking at things called long tail keywords, which ends up being kind of longer searches, right? Find me karate classes near me might be the longer version of karate near me, right? So we want to focus on those kind of long tail keywords inside of our content and our blog posts. And then people typically search with more question-based searches when they're using voice search versus when they're typing it in. So just consider that as well when you're coming up with those keywords that you're targeting. Next is mobile optimization. I mean, we've been talking about this for 10 years now, but this is all super important because, again, 70 to 80% of your traffic is coming from people on their mobile devices. As voice search gets more popular, the only time they're doing voice search for the most part is on mobile devices as well. So we need to really take that into consideration. So how fast does our website load on mobile devices? Are elements large enough to read, easy to press on? So as they're actually physically pressing on buttons and things like that, we want to make sure that they're not too small. Opt-in forms should be easy to interact with, typically full width of the device. So if you have a form that's asking for first name, last name, email, if you have the form fields kind of next to each other instead of stacked on top of each other, it makes things a little bit harder for the customer, and we don't want to add any sort of difficulty for them filling out their information. And then phone numbers are quote unquote click to call enabled. So they should be able to just tap on your phone number and then have that call you. Okay, some websites have it where they have to physically copy the phone number, go to their phone app and then paste it in there. And again, we just want to make things as easy as possible. And then lastly, for voice search, we have structured markup data. Okay, so this is kind of nerdy, but there's code that you can add to your website that Google can easily read that's called schema, specifically local schema. Okay. So you want to be able to fill out this information. It's going to have like your organization name. It's going to have your phone number, email, the cities that you service, what your pricing is, kind of all of this information about your school. And you want to embed that directly into your website. So to generate this code, you can just scan this QR code. You're going to be able to fill out a form and then hit generate, and it's going to spit out some code for you. And that's what you can actually paste into your website. If you're using a Market Muscles website, this is done for you automatically already, so you don't have to worry about that. But again, if you're using another service or building your own website, there's a tool for you. Makes things a lot easier. And then lastly, let's hop into technical SEO. So there are multiple levels when it comes to search engine optimization. Okay, there's the on-page stuff that we talked about, which is like your blog posting, your content, your keywords, things like that. And then there's the off-page things when we're talking more about like your servers and the technical aspects of it. So first of all, you need to ensure your website has an SSL certificate. Okay, so to know whether your website has an SSL certificate or not, if you go to your website, usually at the top left in that navigation bar, there'll be like a little lock icon, usually with like a green kind of symbol there with it. That means you have an SSL certificate. And also your website address won't be http://. It will be HTTPS. Okay. So this is something that Google takes into consideration with their rankings as well. So make sure you have an SSL certificate. Find any crawl errors. So there's something called the Google Search Console. Okay. So if you put that into Google, you can integrate with their Google Search Console. You'll put in your website, you'll just confirm some information. And what they do is they report back any issues that they find on your website. So if there's any broken links, if there's any issues with loading things on mobile devices or anything like that, they let you know those issues. So then that way you can fix them and just make things a lot better and easier to rank. And then we've got install XML sitemap to ensure easy indexing. Again, this is really kind of nerdy stuff here, but Google is always looking at your website and reading it to see how it can rank you better. So by having an XML sitemap on your website, it allows you to communicate with Google a lot better. Again, if you're on Market Muscles, this is done for you already. And then ensure clean URL structure. So what this means is, for instance, on a program page, your URL might be graciepack.com/program/kids-marshall-art, right? So it's very clean URL structure. It's very easy for Google to read. If you have some really robust URL that structure that has all sorts of words that aren't relevant to the page that they're looking at or the program that they're looking at, this adds a lot of confusion to Google, which will then not allow you to rank as high as you possibly can. So just to go back, I know I went through things pretty quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end of the session, but I want to make sure that we stay on time here. But we've got the Google EAT algorithm, so ensuring that you have the experience, expertise, the authority, and the trustworthiness being represented on your website. Those core website vitals, ensuring that your website loads as fast as possible. Voice search, super important going into 2024, optimizing your website for that. And then the technical SEO aspect, just ensuring that all of the code and all of those pieces are all good to go on your website as well. So that's what I got.
Boom. Awesome work. Looks like Mr. Mike Evans has a question for image compression. Is that embedded into my Market Muscle site, or is that a step I should add?
I would always just go through Tiny JPEG. There are stuff that your website will do automatically for you, but I find that Tiny JPEG is the best at doing it. So I would always take that manual step and do that.
Awesome. All right. Mr. Toulé, who's at his 5,000 steps for the day, we're going to pass it over to you, sir. Go ahead, take us away.
Appreciate you letting me get my workout in today, everybody. Thank you. First off, I just want to say I 100% agree with whatever Chris said to start. AI is something that we're utilizing everywhere. You're going to start to see that in my studio shortly here as well. And it's not something to be scared of. It's something to embrace. And it's really exciting to be in business at this particular time. It's kind of like the age of the internet when it launched back then. And then we recently spent about $110,000 with an SEO company. And they pretty much just said what Steven just said. I wish I just went to this webinar and saved myself $110,000, but if you're not on Market Muscles, I highly recommend it. Everything that man just said, I can vouch for. I paid some good money for that as well. Steven, I'm surprised you did not give this to me when I was in Florida. We'll chat afterwards about that. And lastly, I'm excited to talk before Mr. Mike Metzger because I'm sure he's going to go over some of the stuff I said. So I'm just get a chance to say it. Otherwise, he went first. I would have to like redo my whole speech here, so which is good. Obviously, Chris, Steven, they are the marketing experts. They get you the leads from the websites. They get you the people to notice you on social media. And then what happens? That's where my studio comes in. We are the sales enablement platform and management platform for schools. We service about 3,000 schools right now, so we have a bit of data. And what I'm going to focus on today is what data you should look at and how do you reduce churn when they do become students, right? How do you make 2024 kind of seal the bucket that goes underneath? Get your marketing in place with Chris and Steven, get a bunch of leads, get a bunch of trials, convert them. Some of the tools I'm telling you is how to keep them. We recently just had our meeting yesterday. I meet with the CEO and the partners of our school once a month. And I'm proud to say that this year, the 5 schools that we personally own and operate, they gross 5.35 million. I'm sorry, 5.035 million, which means each of those schools are averaging about $1 million a studio, which is really important because that was our goal. And one of the reasons why we wanted to get to that goal was reducing in churn, okay? So what is churn? Well, I have data over 3,000 schools I'm gonna share with you. But churn it means when people quit, right? How long do people stay with you until they quit? One of the things that we don't want to look at is our annual churn rate, right? A lot of people say, oh, my churn rate is like 2%. What that means is that 2% or 2 students out of 100 students quit every month. You multiply it by 12, 25% of their students quit year over year. That doesn't really give us data of when or how to fix our program, right? So the one thing that I wanted to put in my studio and one thing we always look at is actually when your students quit. Because when your students quit and the average of time when your students quit actually let us know what rank level or at what stage of their beginning membership we should focus on. Okay, so and knowing when like students quit also allow us to come with a strategy. So here we go. So when do usually students quit? Within 3,000 schools. Now, I'm saying this number as an average. Your school is probably all above average because you're here. Okay, so just take that with a grain of salt. But the average student quit. 70% of the students across the hundreds of thousands and millions students that's in our studios right now, 3,000 of them, is between months 1 to 12. Okay, so if 100 students quit your school, 70 of them are somewhere between months 1 and months 12. If you break that down further, you're like, that's not too bad. Okay, well, if you break that down further, we are seeing data that 45% of your students that do quit are quitting between months 1 and 6. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Of all the students that quit, almost half of them, 45% of them, quit between months 1 and 6. So if you're sitting there thinking that your instructor needs to have 10 years of experience and needs to know all the curriculum in the world to start teaching, they only need to teach up to white belt or yellow belt to service half of the students that you're teaching that are quitting every year, by the way. I'll just start with that. So if you're thinking of building an instructor team and want to get off the floor faster to get some more freedom to your life, this data should support that, you know what, you can probably accelerate your student teaching curriculum, okay? So that's really important. That's the first thing I will go with. And then when I talk about instructors, two things people always ask me: how do you train your instructors and how do you pay them? Okay. So this is something I don't share often, but I'm going to share today, just so because my goal when I built my studio was really to give our operators and myself more freedom and the ability to now be able to build a software company because I'm not in the day-to-day with my martial arts company, and then have that martial art company done the best that it's ever done. That's ultimately the goal that we want for each and one of our clients who uses my studio. So first, let's talk about what we train, okay? And I'm not going to talk about how we teach the techniques and things like that. I'm going to go over something that I call our non-negotiables. These are our non-negotiables for every single staff member and especially instructors in our school. The first one being greet and goodbye, okay? This is a very simple non-negotiable. You say hi to people when they come into the door and you say bye to them when they leave. If you are not doing that as part of our team, you cannot be a part of our team, okay? And we're able to do that because, as Chris said, between the hours of 4 and 6, I cannot be sitting there doing follow-ups or like answering the phone, right? That stuff needs to be automated. And with AI, it's going to be really powerful because it's going to be automated in a way that your team can't even do what it's doing. It's going to be better than your team. Let's put it that way, okay? But what that allows you to do is focus on the people part of it, the things that AI cannot do, right? So our goal of building my studio was we used to have a $50,000 that we paid to our program director and $50,000 for the instructor. And let's just say when push comes to shove, I have to let one of them go. Well, I can't let go of my instructor. I can't sell something I don't have service for. So ultimately it became that instructor, and then we can automate the sales process. Now I can pay my instructor $75,000 instead of $100,000 allocated to people. I pay my instructor $75,000. That person will stay longer. I'm going to get to that in a little bit here, but greet and goodbye. That instructor can now just focus on the student aspect of it, something that AI cannot do, okay? So number one, someone walks into the door, you greet them. When they leave, you say goodbye to them, okay? The next non-negotiable for us is something we call 3x3. It's a 3x3 rule. You make eye contact. You say the first name, hi, Stephen, welcome to Encourage Martial Arts. How are you today? And a proper body gesture, okay? That's a fist bump. That's a high five, right? And that's a pat in the back. Areas where instructors are allowed to touch students in Encourage Martial Arts is very simple, okay? It's from the elbow to the finger, okay? It's from the knees to the toes. And if you need to help them balance, it's above the waistline and below the neckline in the back. So of all of those areas, if you need to hold a student up or you know, do anything, that keeps you like a safe rule for your instructor to abide by, right? That's the only areas I allow them to touch the student, not the face, not the head, not the chest, you know, elbow to your fingertips, knees to the toes, above the waistline, below the neckline, on the back. That's it. That's all we allow them to, okay? And so the 3x3 rule is, hey, Stephen, welcome to class, high five, right? And I look at them in the eye. And you have to do that 3 times, at least in a class. That's the 3x3 rule. That tells the student, no matter how big of a school that you're running, that, hey, I'm important and you see me. So that's the 3x3 rule. So every single class that we do, either the main instructor or the assistant helper is going around doing some sort of activities to make sure that each student is individually recognized 3 times each class with eye contact, with the best word that sounds to them in the whole world, their name, right? And a proper high five, fist bump, elbow touch, whatever that they do. Okay. The third non-negotiable for us in our system is 0 downtime. So if you ever witnessed or been to one of Encourage schools, you will see that we always have like stations set up. So if I do need to work one-on-one with a student, I got 20 students in class, I can work with 5 students one-on-one while I have 3 other stations of 5 students doing some sort of drill. They're just not sitting there waiting for something. The class is only 45 minutes long, right? In our system, a Tiger class is even shorter. The 4- and 5-year-old class is like 35 minutes. So if they have to sit for more than 5 minutes, I mean, that's kind of a waste of the time, I think, in my opinion. And plus kids can start to get rowdy and they mess around. So 0 downtime. How do you have your class going all the time without students sitting down and waiting? Okay. The fourth one is praise publicly, discipline privately. Okay. Again, praise publicly, discipline privately. The name of our school is Encourage Martial Arts. It's spelled I-N, right? It's a play of word on encourage, which is E-N. You cannot be encouraging to somebody if you are publicly shaming them, right? Instead of saying, Johnny, get back in line. You're not standing straight. We want our instructor to say, hey, I want you to look at Samantha. She's sitting so straight. She's looking great. Everybody then wants to, have that public praise, so then they follow. And then once the class starts doing jumping jacks or something like that, I'll walk over to Johnny and say, hey, Johnny, I want you to try your best, don't run around or whatever that is. And that's what we mean for our instructors, to make sure you praise publicly and then you discipline privately. And the last part of it, every single class needs to follow these 3 principles. And every single activity that Encourage Martial Arts, because we have after school and we do summer camps as well, it's got to be safe, it's got to be fun, and it's got to be educational. These are the 3 things that we have to have in every single drill, every single game, every single activity that we run and Encourage Martial Arts. Because let's be real, if it's not safe, I don't care how fun the activity is or how educational or how wonderful that martial art drill is. If my kid gets hurt in your class, I'm not coming back. And more than likely, you're probably going to get a lawsuit coming from me, okay? So again, it's got to be safe. Safe is number 1, okay? Second, it's got to be fun, okay? Most of us, I'm going to just make the assumption that we work with kids or we have some sort of kids program, and even adults too, by the way. But super important with your kids, it's got to be fun. right? I want to come back. When a parent or myself, I have 3 kids now and a 4th on the way. Whenever they finish an activity, I would say, hey, did you have fun? That's normally the first thing I ask them, no matter it's martial art, they take class and encourage. The first thing I see them come out and say, hey, did you have fun? And then my child will tell me, yeah, that was so fun. I broke a board, or yes, it was fun, but I didn't get a tip. I'm like, well, you gotta try again. That's fine. You know, I don't care if it's not fun if you didn't get your tip, but was it fun before all that? Okay. And then the third thing is it educational? And we are so lucky that we get to teach martial arts, because inherently martial art is just one of the most educational, practices and thing that we can do for our kids, physically, mentally, all of that. Well, I don't have to kind of go into that. We all know that here. But how do you infuse these 3 principles if you're running a game in summer camp? How do you infuse that during your ninja nights? How do you infuse that during your first trial, right? Again, I used to have this idea of when the trial comes, especially if they're an adult student, I'm gonna make them suffer. It's gonna be so painful and sweaty for them after my class, right? And what I didn't realize was that actually drove them away, right? We want to make sure that that student, that first-time student that comes into your class, is safe. They can feel that it's safe, even though, they're kicking and punches and maybe even weapons swinging around, that, hey, this is a safe place for me and my child. Second, it's so fun. The kids smiling half the class, if not the whole class. And third, I can see how this is beneficial to his or her confidence and all of that, right? So those are the non-negotiables in our business. When it comes time to payroll, I want you to do a simple search. Go to Indeed, Monster Job, or whatever, platform that you have, and search in senior instructor or main instructor or operation manager for a martial arts studio or a yoga studio, whatever that is. Take a look at what they are hiring for and make sure that you are paying your top person the same amount, if not more. Okay, you want to be the person that pays the highest in your area. If you really want to build staff that is bought into your school, you got to pay them. Okay, Google, Amazon, and all of that, the reason why they will continue to be successful, because they pay the highest for their skilled workers, right? You're going to want to go to Amazon. You're going to want to go to Google and Apple because they pay the highest. You want to be that school, right? So let's put it this way. If the most important team member in your school right now decides to quit, what would you have paid her or him more for them to stay? And if it's gotten to that point, it's too late, right? If it's gotten to that point, it's too late. You should just give them a raise now. So make sure you're the top paying martial arts studio in your locale, in your local area. And that's how you attract the best talent. And that's how you get the best instructors. That's how you get the best grossing school in your area. That's all I got, Chris. I'm trying to stay right on time at 1:10, yeah?
That was perfect. Awesome. I love the non-negotiables. I wasn't expecting you to talk about that, which I thought was really, really cool to kind of see the, you kind of pulling back on encourage. And I'd love to, just to connect on what the future of AI looks like inside of my studio. Anything you can share yet, or?
Yeah, kind of exactly what you're talking about, right? So if we take our sales system, like we don't have a sales system in Encourage because we simplify our process. But there's like, hey, is martial arts good for a 4-year-old? What are the benefits of martial arts? Why should I choose you over somebody else? Imagine trying to teach a staff all of these inherent knowledge that you have. Like, they won't be able to pull that out. But if you can put all that knowledge in one area, AI will do it for you, and they'll do it very well. And as well as book that appointment for you as well. So yeah, I would say that's coming in January. So we'll release that soon. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. All right. Mr. Mike Metzger, you are up, sir. Let me,
Thank you.
You want to send me your slides? You good? Oh, yeah.
You didn't get them? Put them up, please. All right, everybody. Hey, great job for those of you who have hung out here as long as you have. But here's the thing. I'm going to give you a little philosophies here. Everything Tu said is right on the money, right? And here's what I'm thinking. There's a lot of you on here, I bet, that probably listen to Mr. Tu speak and be like, oh yeah, of course, publicly praise. Of course, privately reprimand. Of course, watch where the touch is and all this stuff. And here's the problem that holds people back in the martial arts. And this is something that you should really adopt. It's not what you know, it's what you don't know that's going to stifle your growth in your martial arts business. It's what you don't know. Okay. Because whatever it is you do know has gotten to you to wherever you're at right now in your business. And if you want to go further, there's things you just don't know. And it's not about doing what, for example, the specifics that Mr. Two gave you. It's how to deliver that stuff. That is the difference. It's presentation, not just the application. It's how do you present whatever it is that you're doing. That's what makes the difference. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is this, and then I'll give you some bullet points so you can write these down just to have some kind of organization or whatever it is, because I don't have slides, because I hate slides. I like to hear what everyone's saying, and then I'll decide what I think is relevant to keep you engaged. My mom always says to me when, I try to help and educate everybody, including my family and my mom, my wife, they're like, we're not a client. We're not a client. I said, look, I've been put on the earth. It doesn't matter if you're my mother, my brother, a client. If I see how I can make your life better, I'm going to just volunteer that information. Not everyone appreciates it. So you can sign off now if you'd like, if you don't want to better your business, and no problem, no harm, no foul. Anyway, I do believe if any of you follow the Mets Tassel show, the show that we do on Thursdays, like at this time right now, but we do it every other week. We put out a question. The topic was, what is your mission as a professional martial artist? And it's a trick question, guys. What is your mission as a professional martial artist, whether you're an owner or an instructor? And the thing is how my mom says to me all the time, not everyone thinks like you do, Mike. Not everyone thinks like you do. I'd like to think that I do think like everybody else. The difference is I own it. I can't stand excuses. I can't stand justifications. I own it, and I'm just forefront with the thinking. So what is your passion as a professional martial artist? Well, I think your passion should be to impact more people in your community and to help more students share your martial art, give more focus, confidence, whatever it is. But here's the difference. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You can do that so much more effectively if you know how to make money in the martial arts industry. But we'll justify, if we're not making money or the money we want to make in the industry, again, whether you're an owner or an instructor, then we'll start justifying and making excuses of, well, I don't want a nickel and dime. I don't want to do that. And it's just stupidity of excuses, because one does not go hand in hand with the other. If your mission as a professional martial artist, which it should be to impact more lives, it should be that. You'll never impact as many lives as the school next to you that's generating a lot more revenue. Why? They have more students. They have more locations. They give money and donate more money. Like we donate money to the public school systems. We provide scholarship, on and on and on. But if I can't pay my bills or pay me, I can't do that stuff. Now, with that being said, how do we get there? How do we do that? Number one, there's only 3 things you need to do in your business. 3. You need to know how to effectively and efficiently recruit more students. So you need to know how to recruit more students. Recruit. Number 2, you need to know how to effectively, Mr. Two gave examples, how to retain those students. So recruit is number 1, retain is number 2. Okay. Number 3, you need to know how to generate revenue in your school. And in order to generate revenue, it is not based on, I just need to get more students to generate more revenue. That's not how it works. That's one part of generating revenue. But if you're operating your martial arts school and your mentality of growth is, man, I just need, here's what I hear all the time. I need to sign up more students. I need to enroll, or I need to get to 200 students. And I say, why? Why do you need to enroll 15 students a month? Why do you need 200 students? Why? Well, because if I had that many students, I'll be able to pay my bills better. I'll be able to take care of myself more. I'll be able to hire my instructor. So really you need more revenue. We all want more students so we can have both. It's not one or the other. But make no mistake about it, you need more revenue. So with that, there's a couple things. Now, here are the 4 things that I think will really help you. But these things, you're going to hear me say it, and you're going to say, well, yeah, no, I know. Number 1, 2, hit it. Culture and customer service in your school. Culture and customer service. Why is that so important? Because whatever you're doing for customer service, I'm going to tell you now, guys, next year is an election year in the United States. People get a little nervous. They get uneasy. The Fed's just announced right now they're not going to raise interest rates yet. We think we may start lowering them next year. We don't know what's going to happen. We're kind of in flux with the election year. This is where people will start being a little bit more careful on what they're spending their money on. Follow me? But if you up your culture and customer service, there's a much higher chance they're not going to eliminate your business. They're not going to eliminate it. Now, if all you do is teach, quote, fun and exciting classes and great quality martial arts, but we don't focus on the off the mat service, off the mat, I may eliminate the $100 a month, the $200 a month, or whatever I'm paying, not because I don't think you're a great martial arts school, but a martial arts school is a want. It's an extracurricular activity to the people who don't really understand what the true value and benefits of martial arts is. Once they're a black belt, like a parent coming in, bringing their child, or even an adult, they have no idea what their life will be like the day they get that black belt wrapped around their waist. Just like all of you on here, if you just stop and think for a minute, how has martial arts impacted your life? I'm sure it's been a major impact in your life. Okay. They don't know that. So if money starts getting tight, hey, I got to take a break from the kicking and punching or the arm locking and the sweeping or whatever art you teach. But if you make people, there's a difference between wants and needs. Okay, wants and needs. Every human being wants to feel important. Everybody, we want to feel important. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel like I'm progressing. I want to feel good. This is why I say I live in Orlando. Disney World is not the best theme park in the world if you just look at the rides. My kids, who grew up in Orlando, had annual passes to Disney. My daughter, when she was like 9 or 8, she said, do we have to go to Disney? Can't we go to Chuck E. Cheese instead? Because for her at that age, Chuck E. Cheese was more fun. But Disney can buy Chuck E. Cheese. Disney is the most lucrative theme parks in the world because of how they make people feel, not because of the ride. Same thing in your martial arts school. Not because of what you're doing on the mat, but it's how you're making your customers feel. And I could do a whole seminar on this. And this is one of those things where you're like, well, I know, but I'll give you one little easy tip that I tell all the Maya clients, because this is easy. You can start this in January. Just start in January. Go alphabetically from the last names of your students. Start at the A's till you get to the Z's. Take 3 months, space it out. You're not doing a lot of calls a day, and just call every single student every quarter, 4 times a year, just to tell them how much you appreciate them and how great they're doing or how great their child is doing. And this is one example where I will tell you it's okay and preferably to leave a message with your message, because they will save that message. They will play it for their child if it's for their child, to let the child hear it. But too often, we're calling people because they're behind on a payment. We're calling people because, hey, haven't seen you in class. Like, I'm only calling you reactively. You've been missing in class. You're late. We have testing coming up, or we have a parent sign. I'm calling you to sell you something. I'm calling you because you haven't been in class. That's reactive. But if you take a moment and just in the middle of the day, or as soon as you get to the school, call 5 people, leave 5 messages, which will take you 3 minutes. Hey, Mrs. Johnson, listen, I just got to the school and I was thinking about you. We're thinking about Johnny. I just wanted to tell you, how much we appreciate you being here, how great you've been doing in class. I don't tell you often enough. I want to tell you how great you're doing, or how great Johnny's doing. And if you ever need anything, our door is always open. Please let us know. I can't wait to see you in class tonight or tomorrow or whenever that student comes to class. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. We appreciate you. Click, hang up. That's proactive. So that's one little example that all of you can start doing in January if you don't do it. But you got to believe in the value. Next, number 2, to go forward. Eliminate the blame game. Let me just call it out. Eliminate the blame game. Well, you know, we don't do well because COVID really hurt us. Oh, we're not doing that great right now because the economy and interest rates. Oh, you know, we're not doing well because our town's really small. That's something I don't do. I don't do that, right? If I'm going to blame COVID that I shut my business down, the first thing I'm going to ask myself is, did every martial arts school on the planet Earth close during COVID? No. Well, then why did I? So I can't blame COVID because it didn't close them down. I will tell you, and we have some elite members on here, not one Maya school, my elite school closed during COVID. Not one. Not one of them closed because of COVID. I mean, went out of business is what I mean. When I say closed, yes, we all closed the doors. We couldn't have people come in, but we had to adapt. But here's where you get a mental block. I'm not doing Zoom. You can't teach martial arts through Zoom. No, you can't. But you can teach martial arts better through Zoom than not doing anything. And we didn't have a choice. And we sold it as, which was reality. Kids are now home all day long. They're not in school. Parents, we're keeping a full schedule. We kept a full schedule. We do a Zoom class at 4:30, at 5:15, at 6 o'clock. And parents, we're going to give you 45 minutes to an hour every day to where you can focus on getting dinner ready, get a break, and just get your child in front of the screen. We'll take it from here. We did okay through COVID. We took a dip, but we were fine. So I can't blame COVID, because if you start blaming the economy or your town, you now just have relinquished all control. There is nothing you're going to do about the economy. There's nothing you're going to do about getting 1 million more people in your town. You chose to open up in that town. You did it. There's nothing you're going to do to say, you know what, COVID's over. We're not going to have COVID. Let's wipe it. You've lost all control. So now you're just going to be reactive. Our business shut down. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You got to know how to adapt, and you got to know how to thrive. So blame game, get rid of it. It all comes back to you. Figure out how to adapt, or call me or somebody that can help you to tell you what you need to do, regardless of what your excuses are on why you're not where you want to be. Number 3, wants versus needs. What are you selling to your prospects in your community? Are your ads all about martial arts? Want to do martial arts? Want to do martial arts? Here's the question I have for you. If you line up 100 parents against the wall, and let's say you work with kids, or just line up 100 adults, it works both ways, right? And just say, everybody that wants to be a martial artist, please step forward. How many do you think are going to step forward? It's going to be a small percentage. But if you say, if they're parents, let me ask you a question. How many of you would like to know your child has unbelievable discipline, focus, and confidence? Step forward. 100% of those people are going to step forward. Now, how much do you market that message? And how much do you back it up? So what a lot of martial arts schools do, and I've seen it, everybody says confidence, focus, discipline, respect. They'll come in. You will give more focus and time to the prospect coming into your school in that one day, in that first visit, than you will over the next 3 months, once they sign up. And then what you'll do is you'll throw them into your floor in your classes, and you haven't changed anything. You're teaching classes just like you've always taught classes. But do you ever understand that there's students in there that want to lose weight, but the person next to that person's there because they want to know how to defend themselves? Then the person next to them are there because they're just stressed out and they want to have stress relief here. Then there's a person next to them that just wants to be competing and want to learn how to compete. And everyone's different, but yet you just teach one class and you think one size fits all. It doesn't. You have to understand the wants of your customers as individuals, but you also have to give them what they need. But you have to have a blend. A lot of times we just give them what they need. As martial artists, you need repetition. You need to it needs repetition if you want to be proficient. But if all you do is drill and do repetition, the ones that stay with you will be phenomenal martial artists, but the majority of them are going to quit because you're not giving what they want. You're only focused on what they need. You have to understand the difference. Next, investment versus expense. Investment versus expense. How often do you invest in yourself or your business? How often? Listen, there's no mistaking. I'm pretty straightforward and blunt. I would love all of you to try Maya Elite out. I'd love all of you to try Maya Elite out. And there's some kind of special at the end of this, just FYI, if you want to try Maya Elite out. But I always wonder, if you're a school owner and you're not where you want to be, why wouldn't you try Maya Elite out? Because it goes back to the what you know versus what you don't know. I heard about Maya Elite. I know they do this. I know they do that. I know I'm not going to join. But you really don't know what you're talking about unless you've been in Maya Elite, right? Number one. Number two, the next thing is, well, I'm not going to pay that money. Well, you're looking at it as expense, not investment. Same thing when you hire somebody. Two is talking about Google and when you're ready to hire someone, if you're not there yet, who's the first person you're going to hire? Is it going to be an instructor or is it going to be someone that can run your office? If you're a martial arts school owner, I would like to think that you're a martial artist. So why do we have to hire another one for our first hire? Hire someone that can handle the office because we already know you can handle the floor, right? But am I hiring someone as an investment or is it an expense? Meaning, if I hire an assistant just so I can get a break from the floor, where I could just take a break, go eat a Snickers bar and just kind of just take a breather, well, that's hiring for convenience. That's an expense. I need to put my money to where I know it's an investment to grow. The other deception that people have is, well, I can leave my school. I just went on vacation for 3 days last week, or I went on vacation for a week and I had volunteers. I had my black belts. They ran the school. They covered the classes. That's called running your business, not growing your business. And you guys feel good because you covered the classes. But did we grow? And how long can you leave where you could still see your business grow? And this goes back to where some of you may be thinking, why I don't want to grow. I don't need to grow so much. Well, that brings me back to what's your mission as a professional martial artist? My mission is to impact 50 chosen ones in my community to be great martial artists. If that's your mission, cool. My goal is 50,000, 100,000, 1 million. There's no limit. That's why I had said earlier, we have 140 CMA affiliate locations around the country, because how can I make a bigger impact and continue to grow? The other thing too, as far as investment versus expense, is, are you going to use a CRM? You can use My Studio or any CRM? Are you going to use Market Muscles and have websites? Are you going to use the Grow Pro agency to drive leads in? No, because it costs money, But if it costs money and it gives you a big return, that doesn't cost you anything anymore. So I always tell people straight, the only reason why you won't jump onto, for example, My Elite or any other coaching or consulting program is because you just don't believe they can help you, number one, or you just know you're not going to do the work necessary. And here's what I'm going to do, unlike any other company. If you join My Elite, for the first 90 days, you're going to be overwhelmed and it's going to be stressful and it's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you success is easy. It's not. So for the first 90 days, there's a grind. There just is, until we get it systemized, and then it's smoother. And then it's all about scaling and impacting more people in your community. So if I was to say, what can we do for 2024? Culture and customer service. What is the culture of your school? And the customer service, those are different. When people walk into your school, do they smell fresh coffee? Do you have stuff for the non-participants of martial artists, the spectators? How are they feeling? Great. How is the parent that's rushing from work, picking up their kid, rushing to karate or martial arts? How do you get that parent to be like, I can't wait to get there? What's the experience for them? We have fresh brewed coffee, for example, all the time. We're doing small talk. Every staff member, how you doing? How's everything going? Excuse me. We know about them. We want them to want to be there, not just the child on the mat or the adult on the mat. So that's number one, customer service and culture, right? Number two, eliminate the blame game. Your success depends solely on you, period, end of story. The moment you start blaming something else, you've just lost control. And now you have an excuse. How many people do you know that maybe it's you? Just be honest with yourself. Don't put the ones in the chat box. I don't want to know. I don't want to call anyone out. But how many of you know, or is it you, that have some excuse on why you're not doing better? A lot of you. A lot. You just heard two. He's doing over $5 million, right? We have schools in my elite that are on track to do 1.6, 1.7 million, one location, one school. Like, is it special? Did they just find the golden state? You know, I mean, no, because we have that all over the country. We don't have all over the country 1.7, but we have $1 million plus schools all over. Okay. Next, understand wants versus needs. Understand the difference. Wants versus needs. And lastly, understand the difference. If you want to scale for 2024, as things might be a little tougher next year with this crazy election year, like always, might be a little tougher. Understand the investment versus expense, and what are you going to do differently to make sure that we continue to grow and we don't stay status quo. Very, very important. All right, Cris, I see some questions in the chat box.
Yeah, we're going to open it up to questions here in a minute. So guys, as you're thinking, as you're marinating on everything that we just went over for the last 90 minutes, we specifically wanted to set time aside to be able to answer any questions you might have. So get them in the chat. But entering the new year, we wanted to make sure that you guys had access to some really, really great promotions that we all have going on in our companies. So I'm going to drop that real quick. So get your questions, get them ready in the chat. And I got a little slide here because I'm a visual person. I gotta kind of see it front and center. But if you are needing help with your digital marketing, GrowPro, we're doing the first month off 50%. If you schedule your free marketing audit in the next 24 hours, okay? Maya, I was able to talk Mr. Metzger into this, even though we're a little bit past Black Friday, but we're extending our Black Friday offer. First 2 months of Maya Elite, normally $1,000 a month. It's only $250. Mr. Raul just dropped that he increased his revenue with us in a very short period of time. Market Muscles, they're reducing their setup fee of down to $99. It's normally $395, but you got to schedule the free website audit in the next 24 hours. I actually had somebody on the session today send me a DM basically saying like, hey, can you just kind of do an audit of where our digital marketing is? 100%. This is a free service that we offer at GrowPro to audit your social media platforms, as well as your Google rankings. And then Steven over at Market Muscles, they offer a website audit. So if you just kind of want to see that, you can dive in.
Cris, let me just jump in real quick. Here, this is normal human behavior, everybody. As soon as some kind of offer comes up, people sometimes just start jumping off because we have that defense. I don't want to be sold. I don't want. Just sit back, relax, listen to the offers, because you're going to learn more probably from the Q&A session in a second. Whether you take advantage of any of these offers, again, I'm straightforward. I'm just calling it straight, guys. Keep an open mind. Don't get scared if someone's trying to sell you something. That's what we do because we know we can help. And if we can't help, you're going to try something. You're going to say, this stinks, it doesn't work, and you're going to quit. It's that simple. I mean, or you just don't try it. But I want to make sure I answer these questions and we get more questions because you'll learn more from that than maybe what we just covered because they're questions specific to whatever you want to ask. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and then lastly, my studio, $99 per month for the first 6 months, normally $299. So typically kind of at the end of the year, we're looking at, you know, our budget. Hopefully we're looking at our P&Ls, and we did want to put this out as a way to help you kick off 2024, you know, with the right foot forward. So with that being said, we do have questions that we want to dive into. And, you know, we can roundtable this or whoever thinks that they, you know, have the best answer. So elite martial arts, how do you cover the cost of the school doesn't generate the finances needed for it?
So, yeah, I don't understand. I think, and you can elaborate on that in the chat box, but I think I don't know if you're saying, how can I invest in the school or spend money, if I don't have any money to spend? Is that the question? Because if that's, I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, if that's the question, we have a lot of people, but specifically there's a gentleman named Chris Schwartz on here. He's not on here, I don't think. He's an elite client, but he came to me at the Super Show after he attended one of our seminars, just because you guys obviously can see how dynamic I am as a speaker. But that's a joke, everybody, relax. He came up to me afterwards, Mr. Birch, I don't need the side smirks. He came up to me afterwards and said, sir, I want to sign up for Maya. I want to sign up. I said, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. How many students do you have? What are you grossing on average? He told me. I said, I'm not going to sign you up. I said, but what I am going to do is I'm going to give you some free tips. When you get to 50 students, because he had like 20 students or something. When you get to 50 students, then you call me, and then we'll see if we're going to sign you up for consulting. Sure enough, he called. This was in July at the Super Show. September, he called me, said, sir, I don't know if you remember, I talked to you at the Super Show. I'm at 55 students. You told me to call you. I said, good, now let's get to 75 students. Here's what I want you to do. You need to do this, this, this. Come December, he came to Orlando for a success summit. He sat in here, but I didn't remember him by face. He sat in here. I did a 2-day seminar. He raised his hand and said, I want to sign up, sir. I don't know if you remember, but at the Super Show, you told me I wasn't ready. You said to get 50 and you said no, but now I'm at this and here's where I'm grossing. Can I sign up now? And I said, I used him as, well, there you go. There's my reputation. Everyone else in the room. I'm not going to sell you on something that I can't help you with. And if you're struggling and don't have money, we're going to give you free help. That's what we're going to do. So that's my answer. Next question for any of us.
And I just want to add on there, Mr. Metzger's right. You know, if you don't have the money yet to cover expenses for your school, you need to kind of take a look at first, like, what are the fat where I can trim off? Have I hired staff that's too early, right? When you first open your school, sometimes it is a little humbling experience, and you may have to be just a one-man show or one-woman show until, you know, you don't want to run negative, right? Every month you go into the negative, it's 1 month closer you are in closing on your business and on your dream. So, you know, get the marketing help you need. Instead of having an extra staff, I will actually work harder and work with Chris and work with Steven to actually get more leads into my school, and then work with, you know, Maya to make sure that I'm pricing it right and selling it right, compared to having a staff. That's how I would do it if I needed to do it.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Adam from CMA El Paso, need to get some training for my program director. Where can I get some? Well, Mr. Metzger, you got the coaching company. You want to?
Yeah. So, hey, Mr. Morales, listen, we're going to be doing a program director meeting. We'll get you the dates. We're going to be doing a 2-day intensive on that, and we'll get you the dates on that.
Is that going to be right around the March event in Orlando?
Go ahead, Mr. Morales, say it again.
Is that going to be somewhere in the March event in Orlando? The Maya
No,
March
it's probably May. If you want something sooner than that, send your program director down to us for a couple of days. There's no cost for that. they could sit in on the meetings, do some shadowing, we can do some training, and then ship them back.
Okay, sounds great. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
One thing that I will add, because I get asked often, like, can you give me, the training that you do, right? So we have meetings with our teams. We also have trainings, whether that's instructor training, whether that's off the mat training. And I think, some people are looking kind of like for this, like A to Z, start here and go all the way down, which I think is great for foundational. But my suggestion is for you to really look at your data and build the trainings based off of what your team actually needs. And that was a big mindset shift for me when I was developing curriculum for my team, whether it was on the mat staff or off the mat staff, is looking at our numbers and going based off of that to build out the curriculum, because all of our staff their needs are all kind of slightly different based off of, what kind of previous training they've had. So math is the path. Look at those numbers. For example, for your program directors, maybe your lead to appointment ratio is a lot lower than what it should be. Maybe you're only converting 20% of your leads to appointments. Well, then that means we've got to look at speed to lead. We got to make sure that the automations are firing. And when's the last time you listened to a phone call that your program director did to try to book the appointment? So I always like going back to the data to figure out the exact type of training that my staff would potentially need. All right, I'll take this one. How can I see my Facebook reviews? Is that Mr. Joe Costa? If that is, so just going on your, Facebook page, sir, I've got it pulled up right here. And I'm just looking at the Karate International of West Raleigh. You can just click on the reviews. So you've got a little navigational bar on here. I don't know if maybe you're trying to do it on a cell phone and might be a little bit more difficult. If this is not your school and this is somebody else, you can actually toggle the reviews on and off in the settings. So if you're not seeing it, I would head to your settings. You might just have it toggled off, and that's why you're unable to see it. All right, Stephen, you want to take the next one for Miss Heidi? Because she's calling you out, saying this is for you.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that I went over is pretty technical. It's not like super obvious to see if these things are being done, whether they've been done. That being said, like I personally know what to look for. So I would be more than happy to help if you just want to, once you ask them to do it, if they come back and they say they did it or whatever, you can just send me the link. I'd be more than happy to take a look and just verify that those things are done. It's a matter of me kind of parsing through the code of your website to see if those things are there or if they're not there. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the best answer that I have. So just reach out to me on Facebook. I'm super responsive on there. Just shoot me a message and say, hey, here's my link. I asked them to do those things you mentioned. Can you just take a look and see if they've all been done or if anything's missing? And I'll help out.
And this is why we love Steven. He'll do the work for you that your website provider currently should do for you. That's pretty awesome. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, we got a big question here. How do you find staff? I think there's, kind of typically two different mindsets. But Mr. Two, why don't you take that and give your kind of feedback on,
Yeah.
how do you find staff?
So we have close to 100 staff members now within our school. And so we start them. Usually your student's going to be that part-time staff members that you need. It's just assistant instructors. All of our full-time instructors have been outside hire. That's been with us for well over 10 years. And the way to get the best staff is to post the highest money available, beating every other company that's out there. Bar none. That's what I would say, right? If you want more leads, you want people to, imagine you say, hey, I'm looking for a martial art instructor. Salary starts at 80,000 K to 125K. You post it on Facebook. If they're not interested, they will be interested. If they're working down the street, they'll call you. That's how we've always done it. You literally outbid all your competitors and you make them think like, ooh, I'm only getting paid 40,000 now, but this company is offering 60,000, right? So outside hire indeed works well for us. That's how we market it.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback off of that because we're a BJJ and MMA school, but we predominantly work with kids, which most BJJ and MMA schools, they typically have like larger adult programs. And over the course of 11 years, right at about like year number 6 or 7, I was, trying to kind of remove myself from the mat. And I've had 3 chief instructors since then. Each one was with me for about 2 to 3 years. And earlier this year in January, the chief instructor that was with me was 3 years in. He had just turned 50 years old. And he like came to me and said, I'm kind of having a midlife crisis right now, and I'm not sure this is what I want to continue to do. And I, had a slight freak out moment. The thoughts of like having to get back on the mat because I had a senior instructor that just wasn't ready yet. And I did exactly what Tu did. I went on Indeed and I put together a really, really great job description with really great pay. And then I went into Facebook groups that are for BJJ school owners and instructors, and I posted in there. And what I also offered was a relocation package. And I think that that is a missing puzzle piece that a lot of schools don't offer if they are looking for outside hires. And with the relocation package, you don't need to put an actual amount on that because, if somebody's a lot further, they might need $2,000 or like $5,000 versus somebody that might not have as big of a move. They only need 2 to 3. And I posted in those Facebook groups and offering the relocation package. And sure enough, a couple of days with the job posting live on Indeed, I found somebody local that had experience teaching kids BJJ. Like that is like niche within a niche, and was able to hire somebody here in Tampa who has just ran with the program. He's been doing a phenomenal job. So, Mr. Morales said, grow them leadership program 100%, right? But you might not have somebody that is ready at the moment that you need them to.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially, that works well if you're in the school and you're growing once you get to multiple locations like this, you got to have an HR team in place, right? Like, yes, when you get to 60, 70 team members, people are quitting every day or you're firing them every day, right? So, and when we say we post, things out there for 80,000, 100,000, it's not like you take anybody. You kind of vet them out first. And we do that within the first 30 days. We call it either we promote you or we fire you. And we're very upfront with them because after 30 days, you're going to know how that person fits your culture or if they have the experience. But kudos to Cris there. Yeah, that's exactly what we do when we need them. All of those things she says.
Matt, you done with your phone call?
That was, yes, very important call. And it was getting text. There was like, he needs to talk to you right now. It was something on another business matter. But very quickly, I want to say this, we threw out numbers. Mr. Tu was saying, how his school's going to do 5 million. I tell you, 1.7 million. Some of you just think that's just unattainable and crazy. And you'd be correct. For most of you, those kind of numbers are nuts. Wherever you're at, right? Here, I'm going to be transparent. We had a guy in Minooka, Illinois. Put a 1 in the chat box if you've ever vacationed in Minooka, Illinois. Anybody vacationed in beautiful Minooka, Illinois? Even people that live in Illinois have never heard. Yeah, Bert, you're the one, because he actually was a teacher in there. That was his school at one point. But it was one of his students, Mr. Dugan, Mr. Jim Dugan, right? Anyway, there's like a blinking light outside the front of the school. I think the school was what? Mr. Birch, 2,000 square feet maybe total and it was like $250 a month, or what was the rent there?
Yeah, the square footage was probably 1,000 square feet total.
And what was the rent?
Yeah, when I first started there, it was like $230 a month. Then he come to me a couple of years later, he says, I have to raise the rent. He says, I'm sorry. And I was getting ready, thinking it's going to be big. He says, I have to raise it to 275. Is that going to be okay? And I said, I understand. I said, yeah, we'll make it work. Yeah.
Very good. I'm glad you stretched yourself there, Mr. Birch.
Yeah. And there was pictures of this building back. They had horses tied up to it. And I used to tell people Jesse James shot 3 people there. So
Good.
historical things.
So, by the way, put a 1 in if you're paying less than $275. Anyway, here's the thing, though. With Mr. Dugan, by the way, Mr. Dugan was in his 60s running a school. He was in his 60s running the school when we were working. I didn't get him to $1 million. But what I did do is I got him from $2,200 a month in gross to $12,000 to $15,000 a month in gross with a $280 rent, right? But there was nothing there in Minooka. It was Mr. Dugan and Mr. Birch. That was it. And all their cousins. So we didn't have a lot to work with. But my point is wherever you're at, we can help you if you get the, well, I am in here, I'm in there, I can't do this. You got to just know you can be more successful if you want in your business without jeopardizing the quality of whatever it is you teach. Doesn't matter. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So the original question that we were talking about, and Tu and myself gave our our experience. You got the 9 schools. Where do you find staff? Are you specifically growing them through an internal leadership program? Are you doing things like Indeed and stuff like that? Because we get this question all the time.
Yeah. So there's a system to this too, and it took me 28 years to learn it. Now we're 31 years in, but it took me 28 years. What do you guys do with all your students? You're most of the time, some of you just focus on teaching great classes, making as great martial artists as you can. Some of you are drilling into their heads that, your goal is to be a black belt someday, black belt someday, black belt someday. We've changed the focus on, especially if you're working with kids, to let them know about the career opportunities that open up once you become a black belt, right? And everybody, adults and kids, once they go onto their belt before black, whatever that is for you, we do a black belt orientation. Part of that orientation is what to expect, what we expect from you as a black belt. You lead by example. But then what we do is we say to the parents, this is important for you to understand. Once they become a black belt, this is the career opportunities they potentially can have if they ever wanted to continue in the martial arts field. We have our instructors and staff that can make over 6 figures. Parents don't even understand that's even possible. They don't think this is a viable career path, not to mention a retirement plan, not to mention vacation time, not to mention full health insurance and health benefits, dental plans, like a true business for these people. So number one is you got to plant the seeds early to let your people know there's an opportunity, because you know what happens in the martial arts industry? We lose the best people to professional fields. The ones that are hard workers, dedicated, they're great. They go off to college, they become whatever they become because they never knew that there was a real opportunity here. Now, here's the problem. I'm just going to call it out. If you're working a full-time job to make ends meet, you get to your school at 4:30, you're driving up in the old car, to your parents and students, that doesn't look like I would have any career opportunity here, because first of all, you're the owner and you have a full-time job, and I can't see that. You got to take care of you first and then let people know about the true path. You can't not know how to run an effective business and start tomorrow telling your black belts there's an opportunity, because you couldn't offer that opportunity. So you got to first take care of you and your school and your business. And we've done it. You can. Here's what I'm saying. Whether you join Maya or not, just know that you can. You can do it, but it does take some mind shifts on how you run your martial arts business. Okay? That's what I would tell you. So number 2, though, internal is number 1. Number 2 is we cannot stifle our growth because I don't have anybody in the pipeline. I can't stop my growth of my business. So we will put ads out. We just flew someone in from, I think, New York. They came in for 3 days. They go through interviews. They shadow. They see the culture. They go through more interviews. Then we make a decision. And that's before we cover all the expense. Before we fly someone in, we do Zoom interviews. We have a board that does a Zoom interview. We will hire from outside and do all the training. We have training systems and methods and everything else for people that come in from the outside. But my point is that would be my second choice. My first choice is hire from within.
All right. So we've got 6 minutes left, and I'd like to just kind of rapid fire this, because we talked a lot about, the things that we should do. Sometimes highlighting the things that we shouldn't do can actually be more helpful. And Charlie Munger, who recently passed away, Warren Buffett's, partner, one of the best investors in the world, talked a lot about this. Albert Einstein says, invert, always invert. So I'd love to hear from each of us. the biggest mistake that you see in our industry in your particular area of expertise, right? So I'll kick it off because I'm putting everybody on the spot here. But I think sometimes it's easier for people to like, okay, I got to make sure I don't do that going into 2024. So for me in the marketing, I think the biggest mistake that I see people do in the industry, and I am the first person to say digital marketing, I love digital marketing. The biggest mistake that I see is only relying on one area of marketing, whether that's you're crushing it in word of mouth and referral programs, whether that's you've got great partnerships in education, whether that's you crush it online with Google ads or Facebook ads. You cannot have only one line out in the ocean. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see our industry do is like, okay, well, I'm running the Facebook ads this month. I'm not going to do anything else. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Steven.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest is pulling back when they see everyone else pulling back. Okay. And I saw this a lot with COVID. And from my perspective, the schools that kept going with their ad spend, with the marketing, the everything that they were investing in were the ones that truly won, when everything rebounded. Okay, so starting to see that again with the economy the way it is and the way that things are looking. I see a lot of schools that are looking at options to save, $50 here, $100 there. And I get it if you literally need to do that, but if it's just a knee-jerk reaction to this potential thing that you're maybe scared of might happen and you're limiting yourself because of that, I think it's a mistake. So for those that are, investing in these different services that are helping your business grow, just because we have this potential, thing coming up, I don't think it's the time to pull back. I think it's the time to keep pushing forward. And you'll see the fruits of that labor and that investment in the near future.
Awesome. 2, biggest mistake you see in our industry. What should we be avoiding?
Yeah, I think focusing on the wrong thing, right? I just literally saw a Facebook message on the Century Network saying, hey, I have a 30-day cancellation, but the student gave me 14 days. Should I charge him for the extra month? And you're focusing on like 100 or 200 that you can get from that customer while they leave in a sour taste in their mouth. Meanwhile, you got maybe 10 trials and 30 people that could quit. So focusing on the things that really matter in your business makes sense. And the second thing I will say is a lot of people come to a CRM, they're like, hey, I see you have a auto-renewing membership option structure. I don't want that. I want a 12-month contract. It stops and then every end. I'm like, you sure you can do that? Just hit the drop down and go to custom membership setup. The challenge with that is now you are spending 50% of your time chasing of people to renew contracts. And it also gives everybody the option to be like, should I quit now or should I continue? Right? So talk to your legal counsel to how to get auto renewing. It's not like Netflix or anyone on Amazon Prime is reminding you, hey, Joey, your Prime membership has expired. Please hit this button to continue with us. Do you know how much money they would lose if they did that? So make sure whatever contract you sign, whether it's 12-month, 24-month, 36, have some time of auto renew clause in there that auto renews. So if your student wants to quit, they will come to you and tell you that they want to quit instead of you having to go to them and say, do you want to continue? That's what I would say.
All right, Metz, we got 2 minutes and my laptop is at 6%. I just bought a brand new charger yesterday and it's not working. So you got to talk fast in case my computer dies here.
Just FYI, my iPad's at 41, so I got plenty of time, Chris.
I'm the host is the problem.
All right, so guys, here it is. The biggest mistake this industry makes and human beings make are excuses. You just got to stop with the excuses and believe you could have whatever it is that you want. When I started my school, I charged $4 a class with a $2 registration fee, pay by the class. So you wanted to sign up with me at $6, then $4 every time you came in. I don't think anyone on here is at that bottom to get to the top. So it's just that. It's just the excuses. And Chris, here's what I'm going to tell you to do because I really mean it. And I know some of you won't, you'll be afraid I'm going to sell you. I'm not going to sell you. I'm going to get information. I'm going to tell you what you should do and how you can help. But Chris, I'm going to go out on a limb. It's Christmas. Why don't you put my cell phone in the chat? she'll put my cell phone. If you want to text me and jump
Do
on
your
a call.
fingers not work?
No, I don't know how to do chats. I'm at AOL. Thank you, Ms. Connor. You're the tech guy. Either Steven or Chris, please put my cell number in the chat
Got
box.
it, sir. Just dropped it. Yes, sir.
This
So
is
there you go.
hilarious.
There's
I have
my
an
cell number.
AOL email address.
That's right. If you have questions, if you want to tell me some of your challenges, I'm going to be honest with you. Somebody put in the chat box here, I told you about Chris Schwartz, how I said I'm not signing you up. And then who was it they put in here? At Mike. Chris Schwartz wanted me to message you and let you know he just cleared $53,000 for his holiday event. I messaged him and let him know you talked about when he started. I wouldn't even take him on because he had like 20 students or something. He just did $53,000 at his holiday event, right? So we can help anybody that wants to be helped. And if you don't want to sign up for anything, I will still help you. Okay. I mean, that's it. So I'm passionate about that. There's a lot to it. I sound like a salesman. You may be like, Metzger's just selling too much. Yes, I am. I'm selling help, even if it's free. I'm selling you that I can give you some tips and help you. There's my cell. Don't call after 5, please.
I use my studio. Works awesome for our 5 schools. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. 2 hours. How many steps did you get? Are you at your 10,000 steps? I think you're
I'll
muted.
text the number to you guys. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
There
Awesome.
you go.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Happy holidays. Hope to connect in the future. See you guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.